watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community. And I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we both are
Rope Break.
And it is time, Jean-Paul, for AEW Dynamite. I think that, overall, not too bad of a show. Returns, a lot of things. The show had to change a lot of times because, like NXT, also, in AEW, a lot of cases of COVID. This situation is still among us, is still bothering us, is still not letting us live the life that we were used to live, Jean-Paul. But I think overall, okay, not... It was like an average Dynamite for me, at least. I'm not going to shit that much on it. I don't think it was a blow-up show. So what do you think? And hey, Jean-Paul.
No, I mean, it was... Dynamite, it was okay. I like the main event match, but then, they could never just, we get a match, it ends, go off the air. There always has to be, awkward beatdowns and all this stuff. And, I always just compare it to late WCW, and that's, again, what I'm going to say here. But, I mean, everything considered, having to switch around some stuff, this and that, it was a decent show. It could have been a lot worse, but I feel like if you tweak some things, it definitely could have been better.
Yes, that's what, we got, the return of Cody Rhodes. So, I will say the return, it was legit, but like I said, he always has to look like when I heard the music and everything, I was like, oh, it's Cody. Because it always has to be great, it always has to be pompous, or I know that it's Cody. Because no one else can have such a legit smoke and all of that. So I was like, but anyway, Jean-Paul, before we start, like I said, condolences for Animal. He passed away today. You guys could see it in the video. We're all sad. The wrestling world is sad because you love the Road Warriors. I love the Road Warriors. I think everybody that has posted pictures with Animal, they love the Road Warriors. So at least, I was talking to, I'll shout him out, Steven Logan. He he got his induction in the Hall of Fame. He was the one that requested the episode of Dark Side of the Ring. He got that. So I think, Jean-Paul, I think that he can go in peace and now be together with Hulk one more time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, Jean-Paul. So don't forget, family, Jean-Paul Egg, great review. Monday Night Raw review. Retribution finally revealed their identities. Jean-Paul in our pages, everybody's just shitting on this. It's the worst idea ever. CM Punk said that Slapjack was pretty much made up with extra carton play, paper plates, and that's how they had the mask. So a lot of people are saying that this completely went the wrong way. If you want to see how Jean-Paul thinks and I think, at least in spirit, not right there is the review. Don't forget to check that out. Also, for the ones that love soccer, right there, I did another Copa Libertadores review. Liga de Quito, Jean-Paul finally knows how to say it, against Sao Paulo do Brazil. 4-2, we won, so we're all excited. So, catch the review with all the images, everything right there, goals, lineups and everything, and what's next for Liga de Quito. So, Jean-Paul, let's start out the show with the debut of Miroslav Baryshnikov, Rusev, or Miro, and he's the one that finally opened the show. He was in a tag match, so I don't understand why was the situation of a tag match. I was really thinking that it was going to be his singles debut, but he ended up teaming up with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford against our boy Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. So Jean-Paul, walk me through this. I don't think it was such a great match. I think that there was a lot of conflict. Maybe Rusev might have been hurt. I don't know, but walk me through this, Jean-Paul.
Yeah, I mean, if to touch on that spot, Rusev, he has no reason to be taking bumps over the top rope for any of these two, Sonny Kiss or Joey Janela. Miro should be, when he brought him in, he should be top of the mid card on his way to main event, because you're not going to bring him in and put him right in the main event. But to sell and take bumps like that over the top rope for Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela was pointless. It looked like he hurt his ankle, the back, so it's is that an ACL? Hopefully not, because he was kind of just limping around for 5 minutes or so. Eventually came back, was moving pretty good. So either, he's a tough guy, so I wouldn't doubt if he just wrestled through it, but I hope it actually did just go away and he just, maybe twisted it or something. But
yeah, I mean,
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna go along, and the match had a lot of botches. I could just see you always say it, that extra second that you kind of wait for the move is I saw that in a lot of interactions with Sonny Kiss and Kip Sabian, and especially with Rusev also with the Miro. We just got to start calling Miro, but Sonny will be kind of waiting, and then he'll do the move, and Joey Janela kind of
and that's because Sonny Kiss isn't a good wrestler. Yeah, I mean, that's all that is. It's just, once you got, I guess, hey, how do you get good? By wrestling, but you shouldn't be in this match. If anything, it should have been really short, as Kip Sabian starts, goes against Sonny Kiss, whatever. If you don't want Sonny Kiss to, he's the one who ate the pin or the submission, whatever you want to call it, at the end of this thing. But it's like it should have been Miro tags in once, completely kills who's ever in the ring in 30 seconds and done.
It should have been like that because, Miro is supposed to be presented as a monster. So, I don't understand why, Sonny and Joey Janela had, a lot of, interactions or, attack, a lot of offense on Miro and Kip Sabian. I could really see that, they're taking a shot at your boy Cornette. Because, of course, even the name is, the new Midnight Express. So, you can see that, they're
But they didn't call them that. I don't know. That could just be some Twitter bullshit because they didn't call them that when they came out. So.
I think that they were trying, and then the idea was shut it down. But even nobody liked the promo that Joey Janela cut because I saw online they were like, oh, next time just let Sonny Kiss do the talking because it seems like he was he needs just to clear his throat. It didn't come out really really good. But in the end, like you said, Jean Paul, Rusev or Miro finally was able to get the Mashka kick. That was legit. When he gets all pumped up and he wants to wrestle, we all know what Miro is capable of. He came back and he did of course the match. And then the one thing is they were like, how do we call this? It's isn't this the accolade or is it?
Well, yeah. Well, when he hit the kick, they're like, oh, what a strong kick, and then he got in, and then it's a camel clutch. I don't know why you just didn't call it the camel clutch.
They did mention camel clutch, but then Jim Ross was like, "Oh, I think they call it the accolade." Also, I'm like, just do it the camel clutch, And
then whatever Miro, in a week or two, if he wants to be like, no, it's called the Miro clutch or whatever bullshit name he wants to give it, then it's like okay. But until then, just call it the camel clutch. If I'm fine with them, referencing WWE. To me, I'm like, okay, whatever, because that's where it's from.
See, right there,
they reference New Japan and other companies. Why not wrestle? Reference WWE. It's like whatever.
Yeah. Or what?
You beat them every week on Wednesdays anyway, so you might as well mention them.
Yeah, it's absolutely right, Jean Paul. I think what they're gonna call him. I think it's gonna be called Game Over. Because that's what he mentioned at the end, so that's what I think they're gonna make.
I can see that, which to me, obviously I play video games all the time, my free time. But when you look at Miro and he comes out, and I'm not saying you can't be badass and play video games, but when I see him, I don't want to be like, oh, he's a gamer. When he ripped off his shirt, no, that's not what I think. So I'm like, but it is because Kenny Omega already has that shtick, the video game, whatever. But it's okay.
Yeah. Talking about Kenny Omega, Jean Paul, he came out and because Adam Hanman Page got a match against Evil Uno. He got a match against Evil Uno. So this match was actually really good. The one thing you just mentioned to me, and I agree with you, is why the Dark Order needs to be outside the whole time. I don't understand what was the point of that. It's just everybody, Anna Jay, Brodie Lee, well, not Brodie Lee, but everybody else, the members of the Dark Order were right there. So I don't understand what's the point of that. Because are they gonna help out? I just don't understand.
There was no point because it almost the Dark Order to me is buried. All of them are losers. You saw in the match with Orange Cassidy when John Silver got that shirt thrown in his face, he threw a temper tantrum like a little child. But hey, the Young Bucks are little children too, so I guess it all makes sense. But this is to have them out there. And then Evil Uno doesn't even win the match, and they get sent back. And then, when they're getting sent back, that's when Hangman, goes back on the offense, starts to make a comeback. I think he did almost like a suplex onto the apron to Evil Uno at that point, and it's so they didn't even help him win. So you just make them look like idiots. Why were they out there in the first place?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Although the match was good, though.
Yeah, the match. The match was, it was pretty good. Hangman is obviously really great. Evil Uno, I do like the shots Kenny Omega was taking at him when he's just oh yeah, he wears that vest to hide his grotesque body. So it's you look at him, it's he doesn't look like a wrestler. He looks like an egg with arms and legs. And the match it again went a little long, just like last week with Kazarian with Hangman. But I think they just have it go long because they're just trying to tell this story on commentary.
Yes,
they're just waiting for them to say all their shit. Okay, Kenny, you're done. Trying to move your storyline along through commentary because that's what they're gonna do. I wouldn't doubt if Hangman has a match next week and Kenny's on commentary again because that's just the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, they're trying to create the dissension. I think that to be the big blow up because I think that you said, Kenny is just gonna turn heel eventually, and actually Adam Hanman Page is gonna stay face to me, but they're gonna have them feud. I think that's the money, and that's what I feel that they could AEW can make even. Tell a better story because they didn't do it while like the match with FTR and everything. I think that should have been the point. They didn't do that, so like they kind of prolonged this a little more. I don't know why, but that's what we had, Jean Paul. So like also we gotta mention to everybody that the Murder Hawk Last Anchor has COVID. You know, even for the ones that don't know, so that's the main event had to be changed. So like actually we got an AEW Championship match, and that was going to be a little later on in the show. But for that reason, Jean Paul, actually Eddie Kingston comes out. So like he's the one that like says.
For the previous match, in case anyone didn't catch that, buckshot lariat and done Hangman Page.
Yeah. Well, like you said, like for the ones that like didn't see that is just buckshot lariat and the win. But like Eddie Kingston comes out, Jean Paul, and he got a really really great promo. I really like this. Because it's like, hey, Moxley, you just rather to go. You wanted to go to like the entertainment business. You just wanted to go with like these guys, and then you didn't stay in the indies. I stayed in the indies, because I want to be with the fighters. I want to be with the true fighters, while you just went to like the sports entertainment guys. But tonight is my night. I'm going to become the AEW champion, and I want to see your face right away. So like they had a nice stare down, Jean Paul. I really like this. I mean, Eddie Kingston on the mic is really good. He might not be, like extremely great wrestler, but I think what he sells really, really well. Like he tells a good story for me.
Oh yeah, and see but when Eddie Kingston, when he wrestles, he does the brawling, but he can do like the the tie-ups and the headlocks and everything. But he doesn't try to do the swantons and all the craziness. He does what he knows he can do. So that's why I think he's a good wrestler. He's not out there trying to do like the crazy flip stuff when he clearly can, or it just, everything he does, it makes sense. And this was good. Moxley, again, had to come from his house. He's like, Renee, I know you're trapped here. You can't work with me for another year, so I'll see you later. And then he walked, all the way there. So, and of course, it was just like he calls him out. And right when he calls him out, Moxley comes through. So it's like, was he just standing at the door? Up in the stands? Was he just standing right there waiting? But he comes out, they have the stare down, and I like how there's a little bit of history, and they kind of fell into the shit here, as in, like, they got lucky, because I was like, I can't see them coming up with any way that they're going to get this storyline with Kingston, having like, oh, I wasn't eliminated, because the main money thing was Lance Archer. I'm like, how does Kingston fit in this? But now it's like, okay, now we have a way out. We can just do the match tonight.
Exactly. And see, that's kind of AEW using the abilities that NXT does, that they fix on the go. And good job of like Tony Khan and Jericho, everybody else, because pretty much Jericho in a lot of interviews has stated that they don't have any writers. It's just Tony Khan and them. It's like, okay, how do we make this better? And
that explains a lot of stuff.
Hey, but at least in this situation, we got to praise, right? We got to just be like, hey, at least, like you said, they teased this fixed storyline. I wasn't eliminated in the Battle Royal. This guy wins, like quote unquote wins, but like I was the one that was never eliminated, so I deserve my title match. There you go. You won a title match right here. There you go. Make the best out of it. We'll see, later in the show what happened, but at least I'm happy with the result, with the outcome, and this was a good promo. Then we had the Young Bucks, Jean Paul. Like they were answering Tony Giovanni. Hey, like we're heels now. I think it was Matt, right? The one that like he was to interview them.
Yeah.
And then he gives them like Tony Giovanni, like they're talking why you healed, why you bullshit, or why you being bullshit, pretty much. They're like, oh, it's like, oh, well, like we wanted to be in the tag match and all of that. And let's give me your phone. Give me your phone, and then he destroys the phone. So, like, I don't know. They actually apologize for beating Marvez. I did see that, but I want to see a little bit more edge on the Young Bucks. I still don't know.
They're kind of like, see them and Kenny Omega. I don't know why they're slow burning this, because especially after the pay-per-view, they're like, oh no, we're pissed off, we're done. Like, are you coming with? And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll go with. They were like really pissed off. So it should have been the next week on Dynamite. It should have been you get even more pissed and more pissed. It seems like they were at like a 10, and now they dialed it back to like a 2. Where, he was saying, oh, yeah, that fat loser Marvez or that stupid ref. They make these little comments, but then they are like, no, we're good. Mm-hmm. And then, like, with Kenny,
pull out.
Like when Kenny was like, oh, yeah, Hangman's legit. And then he's like, oh, yeah, Evil Uno is a fat slob. Like, how can you be, like, nice and then, like, mean? But that's what they're doing. And then, yeah, you said they smashed his phone. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And pulled out a big wad of cash and threw it at him.
And then he throws it and it's like, okay, I'm out. So, like, I guess, like I said.
But to me, it was so awkward. Like, who just... I mean, obviously, Tony Schiavone's not going to be like, oh, let me try to fight Matt Jackson, even though he could probably whip him because he's taller than him and looks like he weighs more. But he was like, oh, come on, man. Don't smash my phone. Oh, come on. I'm like, really? You're not going to, like, push him or, like, try to grab your phone? And then, see, that's when he should have been like, hey. And then the door opens. Nick comes out, super kicks Tony. See, that would have been heat.
That would have been a little better, a little bit more, like, violent and more heelish. But like I said, like I don't know what like I don't know if they're really healed. You know what I mean? They're not going.
No,
Like,
they're healed. They're healed, but see, they're probably not going to turn them until right when they're going to like get the belts or something, and they don't. Like you said, there's no writers, so they're probably not planning the storyline out for months and months. It's probably like a week or two in advance is all they're thinking ahead.
So like maybe that's what it is. But I didn't really like the segment way a lot.
No.
I just think that like it didn't come out as should have been. Like the Young Bucks is still kind of like in that limp, in that zone that like, like are we full fledged or like complete douchebags or no, we can still be nice. Hey, we pay for the phone, so it should never been that way. But Jean Paul, let's go to like the first title match that we have in the night, and that's Mr. Brodie Lee defending against Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy TNT Championship. This was a pretty decent match for me. But like you said, like they're not gonna make Cassidy like the champion. Brodie Lee deserves that. Why? Because it's the only thing that sustains the Dark Order. I mean, that title is the only thing that makes the Dark Order watchable and enjoyable. Just because, again, they haven't been portrayed as in a meaningful way. For example, when Adam Hangman Page beats Evil Uno, what am I supposed to believe that these guys are a threat? That's what I think. And with this, I mean, Cassidy looked decent, but again, like Brodie Lee needed to get a win, and thankfully he did. But your thoughts on this, Jean Paul?
Yeah, I mean, this match, they kept saying, like, oh, how he whipped Cody in, like, 3 minutes and, like, oh, he's so dominant and whatever. And Orange Cassidy, I mean, there was a lot of involvement from the outside. Like, JR was pretty much burying the ref in this. And then at the end, I think Tony Khan or somebody was in his ear and was like, hey, kind of apologize to the ref. Because then at the end of the match, he's like, I know it's a hard job for the ref, but come on. But, like, before that, he was completely burying him. Like, why is I understand the Dark Order being out here because it's Brodie Lee. But see, they should just stand on the stage and just stare at the ring the whole time, not get involved. Because Brodie Lee they should fear him. It should be like he's the exalted one. He is like untouchable. You can't beat him. He doesn't need our help.
Yeah.
But Orange Cassidy at the like, oh, I'm done. Let me fake this, and then he almost got the roll up. And I don't like how when Brodie Lee picked him up to do like the sidewalk slam or the boss, big boss man slam, whatever he called it. He did that DDT counter twice. It did the exact same spot twice. The first time I was like, oh, okay, legit. He hit it better the second time, but I'm like, why do we need to see the exact same spot twice?
Yeah, like I said, like sometimes like this shows like there are a few tweaks, and you're pretty detailed with stuff, so you pick those things up. So that's why you're always paying attention to this. Overall, I think it was okay. Cassidy still is Cassidy, meaning still has the momentum. Nobody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, oh he's buried or anything like that. He looked okay. There were a few kids they showing like because they have a few crowd. They have a little bit of a crowd there. One kid was like dressed up like him, and that to me is like the value in Orange Cassidy. He is so marketable. It's like that's why they need to keep him in a spot that is not completely main event.
Oh yeah, the match. Yeah, the match. It really wasn't like the worst thing ever. But I think if you just would have taken the Dark Order out of it and not had their involvement, and it was just Brodie Lee, Orange Cassidy, and they did their thing, I probably would have liked it a little more. But I mean, the right guy did win, and I understand, like you said, you're not going to job out Orange Cassidy because you don't want him to come off this feud with Jericho, and then he gets his ass kicked in like 2 minutes, and then it's like, so I mean, I get that, but hey, the right guy won, so we'll see what they do with Freshly Squeezed, because I don't, he's not going to challenge Moxley.
I don't know, like I say, I don't know what's next for Freshly Squeezed, but like he was getting his ass kicked, and then out of nowhere we got like a big music, we got like red like lightning, smoke everywhere, and I could really see, and I even text you before it happened, I'm like, it's Cody. I'm like, because they don't have anybody else, and like Anna Jay beat like Brandy yesterday, or like they did like after night in the edition of Dynamite. They had a few matches, like we already put it on the pages. Like they did Anna Jay with Brandy, they did Scorpio Sky against a guy from England. They did like a few, like I said, like a few matches, and they did really well. Good numbers for them. So like they had all these stories piling up. So then of course, like Cody. He comes back as looking like Elvis, finally with his hair finally black, and he pretty much took care of the whole Dark Order. And once again, this is for me. Why one guy can take care of like out of like 5 or 6? That's my only, and because it's Cody. You know what I mean? I just don't understand why they let these things happen, because the group looked like idiots. It's like kind of like they're going the same route as like Retribution. Like they cannot book like a group like this well. That's my question.
Well, what did we say? Tony Khan and it's everybody else who's in his ear. Or you could, look on the other side of the coin, Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall. Hey, man, when I come back, just have me wipe out all the Dark Order, okay? Like, how cool would that be? Think about it. Tony Khan being the mark. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, yeah. See, we're going to sell this injury that I'm out for a long period of time, but Brodie Lee's title reign is really only going to be a couple weeks, because he was out, 5 weeks? And he had, like you said, a bullshit. You hear the music and commentary. I mean,
who is this?
Yeah,
who is
we don't know who it is. And then you hear the music. Oh, wrestling has more than one royal family. And then JR goes, well, we don't know who. We hear the music could be. I mean, we don't know until we see it. Like, it's like really.
When we hear the music, and I'm like,
yeah, well, like they're all stumbling because they're trying to like make it be like a surprise. There should have been no music. Cody should have. It should have been all. Like I said, the Dark Order guy should have just all been standing on stage. And then after Brodie Lee wins, there should have just been an extra guy there in a mask, and commentary can be like, wait, is there an extra guy there? And then as they're all walking back, he takes off the mask and starts whooping them from the back, and then it's like, oh my God, it's Cody.
Yes, like that.
But
like
instead,
that
he has to have the fan. He has to have the
right.
fanfare. He has to have his fireworks. He has to stroke his own cock on the show to be like, look at me, I'm Cody Rhodes. And it's like, yeah, you are Cody Rhodes. You are legit, but you don't need to shove it down everybody's throat.
I don't like, I just don't like the fact that like he gets like the best entrances. It's just, I love them. I mean, there's no secret. I love the theme song and everything, but it's just like you said, the Dark Order has to be standing right there. It's like, if they would have done the way you said it, it would have been even the surprise factor. Oh my God, it's Cody. Like the excitement. Oh, he's back. Rather than everybody stands right there and like, okay, he's back. And, he's wearing the suit. And with a suit on, he still can take care of all the members of the Dark Order. But at least, that's how we feel, Jean Paul. And then
we see, so this title is going right back to Cody. So what is that? Every single male title in AEW, the singles titles, have been held by WWE guys. So
yeah, and
it's not going to go to Freshly Squeezed. It's not going to go to Hangman. It's not going to go to a AEW guy. No. Back to Cody.
Absolutely not. And then Jean Paul, like we got a promo, like you said, by like Brodie Lee. Like he was really like excited, pumped up. He did a good promo, like you said. At points, maybe he stumbled a little bit, maybe because like the excitement. But the whole like lines, everything, I really like that. It's like, oh, like you just come back here and use the thing that you can just call me out and like take me out. Call like, who the hell are you thinking? He's like, oh, we took care of Brandy yesterday. Then and you realize you send your brother to do your work. Like everything was good. Like I agree with like a few people saying like why WWE wanted to keep him quiet. The guy is good. He can cut a good promo. I mean, he stumbled a little bit, but like I believed it. He did a good promo, for the leader of the Dark Order at least. And how about you?
This was better than the don't sneeze in front of me or like don't chew your steak, with your mouth open or like whatever bullshit he was doing before when he first debuted. So this was better than that. I did pop for the line where he's like, what kind of man lets his wife post thirst trap bikini pics on Instagram?
Oh yeah, I'm saying that.
I was like, that line I popped for because that's all great. I mean, hey, I don't want to be mean, but like she does that a lot better than she does her wrestling.
No,
so, but I'll just say that. But this was good. What did I tell you? Psycho Sid. Sometimes Sid comes out and he yells and he screamed, and you're like, oh, this is legit. And then other times it's like, can I redo this? We're live, champ.
Yeah, and exactly. So, but like I did like this, like I said, and like Brodie Lee, at least, like I said, he's getting pumped up, and that's good. Like the Exalted One needs to be, like you said, a powerful guy that everybody fears. So, like, if they can give us like a close thing to that concept, okay, I will be fine with that. But then we got Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy was like with a private party. This was okay. Like you said, like a few lines, like for example, like Matt Hardy's like, oh, I hate Chris Jericho, he's shit, and everybody's like, like cheering on him, and then Chris Jericho comes out. And everybody's
hold on, let me tell you, because I said I think he was drinking from the same bottle that Jeff used to, because he's like, the more things change, the more they don't stay the more that they don't he even put his finger up like, let me gather my thoughts, and he's like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's like, there you go, put down the sauce, put down the juice, let that for Jeff. But yeah, like you said, then Chris Jericho comes out, and then what does all the crowd do? What have I become?
Dude, I mean, like I was saying, like it's a little repetitive for me because the song is great, but like it's the same thing every single show. So just change it a little bit, it's fun.
Now you tell me your opinion on this with it. I wouldn't care if they sang it when they actually played it, but it's the fact that when it's over, they like everybody pauses and they let the crowd sing for another like 20 seconds. That's the part where I'm like, no, the crowd, shut up. Just okay, start cutting your promo. They can sing when you're walking out and the actual music's playing, but after that, let these guys talk.
And yeah, to me, like I said, it's just like it's every time it's the same shtick. It's like, and again, it sounds like boss time. It sounds like the big dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. It's like, no, change it up a little bit. But other than that, they had Private Party talking, and I think it was Isaiah Cassidy, right? He was the one that like got the microphone because Jericho was calling. Well, like he said, "Happy birthday to Matt Hardy," so we all want to say happy birthday to him. But like he said, you're shit. You're a son of a bitch. Like, you think you can beat me? No, I've always been better than you. And then he mentions Private Party, and then Isaiah Cassidy was the one that like grabbed the mic, and he said, well, how about if we have a match? Like, how about a 23-year-old from New York, from Bronx, I think he mentioned. He's like, beats your ass, and that was good. I like the intensity, and like you were not a big fan of like how slow it was, but at least for me, it came out a lot better than, for example, a promo cut by the Street Profits. We're talking about tag teams, and just because like he like went slowly, at least I like that a little better than really Street Profits.
This was the same thing with Brodie, where in Brodie's at the beginning of his promo, he's like, the audacity of Cody, and he screams, the audacity. It's just because they don't know what they want to say, and they're like, shit, I gotta like think of this entire promo in my head right now. So that's why they were talking slow, because like you said, it's their first major promo, and they don't have promo classes or nothing. I'm sure with AEW, they just, hey, go out there and do this, and it's like they just wing it. But I mean, yeah, it was good, in the sense where like you're letting these guys talk, because like I said, there's no classes clearly, so this is the only way these people get practice, is just by doing it. And the match, I think it'll be good, and it makes a little bit of sense because Matt Hardy had that feud with Guevara, and then Matt Hardy's relationship with Private Party, and it's like, where does Jericho go next? They're in the tag team division, so is Private Party, so it's like all the pieces there, they make sense storyline wise. So I'm like, I'm not going to shit on this. I'm not going to be like, oh, why is Jericho feuding with these guys? It's something. But I don't think Jericho should ever be in the tag team division. Not that he's not a good tag team wrestler or anything, but he should just be main event. He should just, you should use him in that regard. But, they're not. So we'll see. This isn't bad. But the one thing with Matt Hardy is he suffers all these injuries. Then he got beat up last week. I know they put him on TV because they're like, oh, the ratings, the star power. But can he sell the injury? Can he just like be at home like, oh, I'm resting because I suffered a concussion, then I got beat down from behind?
Yeah. No, and that was your birthday. I mean, like, come on, and like he even said, "I'm gonna go and get rest, and when I'm ready, I'll come back." He's clearly not ready. And
but he even said he's like, "Oh, I'll fight you right now." And then that's when Mark Quentin spoke first. He's like, "Dude, just stop being bullshit. Go home, rest." He's like, and then come back when you're ready, because we're ready right now. And then Isaiah Cassidy, went and he spoke and everything. But I mean, we'll see. I think it'll be decent, but I don't see Jericho losing.
Oh yeah,
unless they do like a roll up, add that and nowhere. Maybe Matt Hardy, comes in.
Like you always say, the rub. Given the rub, hey, this guy's decided, but Private Party is the future. Private Party, no doubt, is the future of professional wrestling as a tag team. They can be like, people will be praising the idea of like Street Profits against, Private Party. Same style, high flying, high top. It will just be a great, match when it comes to like speed, pace, and all of that. So, like, they're the future, but, I mean, Jericho, I guess, is trying to help them out to get over. I think that, like you said, also, they don't have a spot in the main event for him. What do we do with him? Let's put it a little back, so that way he can just help others to be in that, being featured, with Jericho, Le Champion, like even, like, Cassidy was saying, Le Champion, Chris Jericho, and all of that. So, Jean-Paul, let's go really quick to, like, a promo by FTR and also Tully Blanchard. Like, they were saying that, Tully, tell me about it, because you were, like, really, like, oh, whatever he says doesn't make any sense. So, like, they were out in the ring and, like, they were offered some money or something, right, Jean-Paul?
I don't, like I said, I don't understand where Tully's talking, like, super old school, like, 1970s logic, and it's like, this show is nothing old school, nothing, like, logic about it, but he's also, I don't know what's going on, because what he was saying makes sense. He got in Tony Schiavone's ear, and he's like, hey, I'm going to fill you in on a little secret. He's like, if we win, or he's like, if they lose, we beat them, or, like, we beat them, it's like, I don't know if he's trying to be sarcastic or something. Like, I didn't get it. And, I mean, don't do these segments in the ring if these people don't know how to talk. Do it backstage, so then if they completely fuck up the promo, then you can be like, okay, recut, do the whole thing over again. And this went way too long. That's why I think FTR stepped in. I think Dax was like, okay, he grabbed the mic. He's like, all right, let me talk, because He's like, because I'm not senile, I'm not, and I don't understand Tully's role. Where if he would have been like, oh, let me grab a guy or let me choke him when the ref has his back turned or, break up a pin by like putting the guy's foot on the ropes, then I'm like, okay, Tully's the heel manager. But he just stands out at ringside at all their matches.
It's true.
He doesn't do a single thing, and it's like I don't understand it. I don't get it.
And for the record, Jean Paul, he's still managing Sean Spears because Sean Spears fought Matt Sydal. And he was right there. He was by ringside. So we'll see what they do with that. If they will do a whole trio of guys and then Tully's like the manager of all of them, I will be okay with the idea. But if they do it separate, I don't understand because, like you said, he needs to be more involved in like make them win, held them out to win matches. That's what a manager does. But we'll see what they do.
Yeah, because he was talking about like a 60. Yeah, because his one of the main point of it, they're talking about a 60-minute match because he's like, oh, that's how the championship matches used to be, and it's like, well, the show's only 2 hours. They're not going to give you an hour. So then he actually thought of that. So he's like, oh, it's going to be 20 minutes. And then they're like, yeah, we'll do a 20-minute classic or 20-minute whatever with anybody. And then they were rattling off the tag teams. I guess next week they face SCU. They were saying, but then tonight we saw the Best Friends. So they came out. And I said to you because they deserve it after that match. And then the one thing I just want to say quick, Santana and Ortiz, apparently they were going to have this be like some kind of let's build giant Lego sets with tables and chairs and cars and throw each other in it. And Jerry Lynn was like, no, you guys are being bullshit. It needs to be that you're wrestling with this stuff, not you're just setting it up to put each other through it. So Jerry Lynn helped put that match together. So that explains why it was legit. Santana and Ortiz revealed that on the the Bully Ray, whatever his podcast. Yeah, the podcast is on. But yeah, they with the Best Friends winning it, they deserve to be the number one contenders. I would say to have this match because I don't see them beating FTR like we all see it. The story is FTR and the Bucks. But yeah, when Chucky was like, he was calling them weenies, and he's like, I seen you weenies, and it's like, it literally sounded like he said on TV, I've seen your weenies. I'm like, yeah, you probably have, because that's probably what you stare at when they're in the shower. Yeah. But I don't know how this team can, Trent can be legit, and then you have Chucky, who looks like one of them fucking like the Weeble, like those inflatable punching bags that have the big ass that you punch and then they rock back and forth. That's what he looked like.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing is like Trent is like really like the legit one, and Chuck is like back and forth, and that those lines, and even like I think it was the Hurricane Gregory Helms, he poked fun at that because he made a video on Twitter about like using those lines. Because the Revival or FTR, they did one of like, we're gonna blow you up, go and blow you guys up or something like that. So like, he's like, can you please, when you say your lines, don't sound like you're in like sexual interactions and stuff like that. So like, I mean, that was another one right there. So have a little bit of attention on that on AEW. But now, Jean Paul, let's go to the for me like the favorite part of the show, and this is a tag match that we're gonna have with Hikaru Shida, Thunder Rosa against Diamante and Ivelisse. So this was really good. I enjoyed this from the top and bottom. And, there was, like, reports, like you said, that, like, Ivelisse didn't sell for Thunder Rosa last week. That's why they went to stiff shots. That's why the pile driver looked a little sloppy. It's just because I guess they have history and they don't like each other too much. But, like, in this occasion, they look really well. The match actually looked really decent for me. It came out really well because, of course, 4 girls are really good wrestlers. And see, Thunder Rosa just defended her title yesterday also against Priscilla Kelly. Like Darby Allin's ex-wife on NWA Power, like the new version of that show. So, like, this girl has been wrestling nonstop. She's been everywhere, and she's actually a big fan of the show. So, thank you, Thunder Rosa, and we wish you the best. And what do you think about this match, Paul?
Yeah, this wasn't bad. You booked this match, and I don't know where they're going from here. I think they're just putting, like, Shida and Rosa on TV because it's, like, their star power. They're, 2 big names in the women's division. So it's like, yeah, let's put them on TV. Let's use them. Because I don't know if there's going to be, like, any kind of feud. Like, what are we going to see? Diamante go against Thunder Rosa next or something? No. But, I mean, the baby faces won. I think the story, like you said, maybe it's like, okay, I challenged for the AEW title. Now let me challenge for the NWA. Maybe you do a little back and forth there. And, who knows? Then Thunder Rosa gets her win, and then maybe you put both titles on the line in, like, a rubber match. So we'll see. I mean, that I would go for, but, this match wasn't bad, though. And I think the right team won.
And I like, like, the Death Valley driver from Thunder Rosa. Then I like the knee strike, they call it, like, Tahashi, or something like that, right? Like, the finisher from, Hikaru Shida, like, the big knee strike, like, she did the Falcon Arrow. Diamante looked pretty good. Ivelisse is okay, and we all feel sad, because she lost her house or her house burned down or something. But, like, in the end, like, the right winners won. Like, right here we have a We have a great picture of like you said, like the winners, and this was good. Like I said, like holding the titles. Maybe what they do is like give NWA that big rub. Hey, like our champion AEW Hikaru Shida is going to be the one challenging for the NWA championship. We'll see what happens on that. Hikaru Shida had like a really steamy, racy, really nice photo shoot. She had on Twitter and also on Instagram. So guys, if you guys want to see Hikaru Shida in a different light, please go right ahead, because it will be really nice pictures from an AEW champ. And then we got like a really funny promo by Chris Jericho and MJF. What did you think of that? Because like these guys on the mic, the words that they have, it was really good. I really like this, how they went like, why you call me a loser? And then it's like, no, you call me a loser. And then went back and forth of that. They will try to say the same sentence in the end. And it's like, oh, I wasn't calling you a loser. I was calling Tony Giovanni a loser. He's a loser. Yeah. He sucks. Well, and they're like, me, I wasn't calling you a loser. I was calling the loser to the driver. Oh, yeah, he's bullshit and everything. And it's like, well, Maxwell, yeah, I think you're legit. And they go, well, Jericho, I think you're legit too. So what do you think, Leg?
It was good. It was funny. Couple spot. I just think it went a little long. I just think it could have been a little shorter. And it's I mean, that's pretty much it. I just think it could have went shorter. They kind of were like, oh, they play up this shtick, and it's like, what's the point? Is it because you don't know what to do with MJF at this moment?
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, I'm the uncrowned, whatever. Like, how long are you gonna run with that?
Yeah, uncrowned, undefeated AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah. So
I mean, it was entertaining, but I just want to see something with MJF. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, he's in these little comedy shticks, like okay, and then he doesn't act. I liked last week when he had that intensity. He beat that dude in like 20 seconds, and he's like, no, I'm pissed, I'm legit, and then it's
exactly. I agree with you, Jean Paul. So let's go to the main event. And Jon Moxley against Eddie Kingston for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. This was good, to the point. But in the end, Jon Moxley didn't even need, the paradigm shift. Like it was just like submission hold. It was a good match. But like the main story, like again, it was 9:55, so he retains. So I'm like, there's gonna be some kind of like situation happening. And yes, we got situation because like once he was able to retain the championship, then we got the Lucha Bros coming out, Rey Fenix and Pentagon. But like they, of course, once again they dropped out the Pentagon and Rey Fenix because Will Hutz came out. And then he took care of like both of the Lucha Bros. He took care of the Kingston, but then they got more help. The heels got more help because Taz and then Ricky Starks came out, and then Darby Allin also came out. So in the end, they wanted to do like a clusterfuck or like a lot of guys beating up each other. That was pretty much the end of Dynamite. Jean Paul, you summarized it for me.
Yeah, the match I liked between these two guys. They start off wrestling, but then when they got really pissed off, really heated, they just it was a brawl. The only thing it was like a little bit like is how they just fought on the outside, and no 10 count from the ref. He was like, oh, okay, I'll just let these guys go, maybe because he didn't want to get his head ripped off. But the match, it was good, it was solid. Nobody thought Kingston was going to win, but he put on a good effort, a good show. Moxley, he did the bulldog choke or whatever they called, the same thing he did to Brodie Lee. So I was like, okay, that's I guess his like submission finisher or something. So it's like, okay, he, like I said, nobody was like, oh, Kingston's gonna win. It's like, okay, at least the match was good. But then, like you said, they kind of have to soil it in the end with the clusterfuck, and they say, oh, this isn't over with Moxley and Kingston, and we're probably gonna see that 6-man tag next week, just with like the Lucha Bros and Ricky Starks going against Moxley and them, and then you'll probably have Kingston on the outside or something. Yeah, so we'll see. But I mean, the match itself for the main event, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of also, like they're going to be on October 7th, they're going to celebrate Jericho's 30 years of wrestling. That's going to be good. And then they still advertise Lance Archer and Jon Moxley on the 14th of the anniversary show. We'll see what happens. He says in 2 weeks, we'll see how I feel. But, COVID is also a lot of changes for like NXT. Once we talk about NXT tomorrow, then we'll be bringing you all of that. But I think that like this summarizes AEW Dynamite today, Jean Paul. Again, overall, like decent show. So remind everybody where they can find us in the social media world, please.
Well, you can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the original Rope Break on Instagram, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, and of course, the original Rope Break right here on YouTube for the best podcast in the YouTube wrestling community.
That's right. So, family, thank you so very much for watching every single thing of our content. Once again, all the love and support to the family of the animal. And, you and me, Jean Paul, we have another appointment to talk about NXT, but that happens tomorrow. So we have one more thing that is left to say, Jean Paul, and that is...